So I'm basically talking about how to get started in product design. So I've just been talking about a few things that you need to know if you are getting into the industry, and what are the things that are necessary for you to do. Okay, so yeah, the table of contents, I'll be talking about my journey so far, then also do a bit of introduction to product design and how you can get started. Then also I'll be talking about growth hacking, like, okay, when you get started in the industry, what are the things that you need to put in place to be able to scale very fast? Then also I'll be talking about what's next for you after this time out that we'll be having together. Okay, so let me just quickly go to the first part. Okay, so I'm Adekombi Ademola. I currently design for Utiva and Ready Technologies. I was introduced to design when I was 15. I studied insurance at the University of Lagos. I transitioned into product design from being a graphic designer in 2018. I play the piano and I love jazz music a lot. I've worked on a couple of projects for different organizations, CBN, Finance, Agromore, Utiva, Tech Kaba, Ekiti State Government, Ekiti State Government, and the likes. So that's just like a brief intro about me. So I would like to ask everyone, you can unmute your mic to answer the question. What do you think a product designer do? You can unmute your mic if you want to answer the question.
I think Uche is raising his hands. Yeah, so we can have Uche.
Okay, sorry. I was trying to unmute the mic. All right, thank you. So my idea of who a product designer is the person who creates the interface of apps that we use. Everything we press, everything we see on the interface is what the product designer does.
Okay, thank you, Uche. I would like another person to answer the question.
I think we should have someone raised their hands, or she said something. I didn't get that.
Okay, who is that person? I can't actually see the participant.
Okay, hold on a second.
Okay, Fadi Laululai said solving problems with design. Someone said, Isaac said the design products. Ultimate said, okay. I just want one more person to like answer that question, then we'll move on. Or should I call name Toby? Okay. Would you like to answer the question?
Okay. So I'd say that a product designer basically oversees, in quotes, the life cycle of a product, talking about how every of the products comes out to its target audience, the interface, and everything.
Okay. Good, great attempt. Okay, so before I answer the question from my own perspective, I would like to take you through a particular story. Okay, I would like someone to read the story for us. Let me see. Isaac Akinyemi, can you read the story for us?
Good morning. Yeah, so, okay, let's take a look at this. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can, Isaac.
All right, so this is Bode. He graduated from high school 10 years ago, and since then he has not been able to connect with his classmates. The journal where he wrote their numbers got lost. Bode is desperately looking for a medium to reach his classmates.
Okay, thank you, Bode. Okay, so this happened in January 1990. So now to the next slide, what do you think Bode should do in order to be able to connect with his former classmates? I need two persons to answer. Just assuming you were in 1990. Alasha Yomide, would you like to answer that?
Okay, sir. I think Bode should write down a list of the names he can remember and search them up on Facebook.
I said this happened in 1990.
Eh.
There was no Facebook.
Oh, wow.
So what are the possible things you think Bode could have done?
Temitope is raising her hands. I think we should have Temitope.
Temitope Adeyelo, yeah. I can see your hand.
Yes, okay. So he could go back to his school and see if the school still has records on them, maybe their parents' number, and then from there he can connect with them.
Did you think the school would give him those information?
If he explains where he's coming from, now it's not like he wants to scam them, or if he gives them a good explanation.
Okay, one more person before I move on to the next slide. Let me see, who can I call? Ugo Chimadu, would you like to answer that? What do you think Bode should do? Assuming we're in 1990.
I think if he could find, if he can't find any of their addresses or anything, then he probably should send a letter to anybody he knows that might know them.
So based on what everybody has said, that looks like a very tedious process. And that was what life was for people that were living in that particular age. It was very hard for people to connect with their friends. I don't think I've ever been to my secondary school since I got my testimonial. So like literally, I was only able to connect with some of my friends based on all the products that have been developed so far. So this was the main problem that led to Mark coming up with a platform where people can connect with each other. You know, when Facebook was launched, you would notice that it basically matches you with people that are in your environment, people that have the as you have. Say, for example, when I sign up on Facebook and I put in the name of my secondary school, then like after some time, you will see like some suggestions saying, oh, this guy also attended your school. Do you know this guy? So that was what led to the creation of Facebook in 2004, just to connect people who were once together to make sure that they don't lose connection. That is basically what product design is all about in the real sense. Okay, so now talking about the technical aspect of it. So what is product design? So there are like basic steps in designing a product to addressing a problem. So product design basically is a process of identifying a market or opportunity or a problem. In the case where like the case study I just like talked about, there was a problem which Mark was trying to address. So he was able to identify that, yeah, there's a problem of connecting, there's a problem of networking with people that you've been with. Then the next step is clearly defining the problem. So is that enough for you to identify that there's a problem? You need to really understand what the problem is and what is causing the problem. Then after that, you go on to developing a solution for a particular problem. So based on the case study that we talked about, Mark was able to come up with a platform that can easily connect people with each other. Then it's not enough for you to provide a solution to a particular problem. You must be able to validate that the solution you are coming up with is substantial enough to solve the problem you are trying to address. by the time we get deeper into this, we'll understand these processes better. So as a product designer, you're basically one person doing multiple tasks. How do I explain this? So just imagine yourself as I'm thinking of like a real life situation to use. I don't want to go to the technical part of it. Okay, just imagine yourself as a father in the house. You know, as a father, you have like different responsibilities, but your main role is to be a father to your children, but it comes with different responsibilities, different titles. So that is typically who a product designer is. So it's just like a single person that have like different things to do to make up the fact that he is a product designer. And some of those things that the product designer do is to work on user research, do visual design, information architecture, functionality of a product, doing usability testing, creating content, and even like up to doing interaction design. This is just like what encompasses what a product designer do. But one of the things that we hold very critical in product design is design thinking. The other one is system thinking. I wouldn't want to go into that. That is for a very high level conversation. So I'll basically just talk about design thinking, which is the most crucial part of whatever product you are working on, whatever project you are working on as a product designer. And it has 5 different stages, which are interwoven. So it's not like you do stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, stage 4, stage 5. You can jump from stage 1 to stage 5, then come back to stage 2, and it goes all around till a product is fully developed. Imagine design thinking as your tool, you know, for say a carpenter that wants to like make a chair or a table. The guy has like a different type of tools that he uses in making the chairs and table. So just imagine design thinking as your tool or as your process in coming up with a solution to a problem. So one of the first steps we always look about in design thinking when we are coming up with a solution to a problem is to empathize. So empathize basically means trying to understand a particular problem you are trying to solve. In the real sense, product design is not just about trying to draw boxes, trying to paint a screen or something. It's all about trying to solve a problem. And one of the first steps is to empathize. You can't solve a problem if you really don't understand what the people that are facing that problem, what they are really into. So in order for you to get into their shoes, you need to be able to empathize. I wouldn't want to go deep into that. It's like I'm taking a class. This is just like an overview of what product design is all about, just to get you started. So once you're able to empathize, being able to feel what the people that are facing a particular challenge are trying to solve, once you're able to feel what they are feeling, then you move on to defining. So you try to, the first step is for you to understand what they are facing. Then you now try to define it in your own terms, try to put yourself in that particular situation and trying to understand it from their perspective and also from your perspective. Then once you are done with that, you move to the next stage of ideating. So ideating is after you've been able to identify the problem, you'll be able to understand what is really going on. Then you begin to ideate as to different solutions you want to use to solve that particular problem. So the ideating part is one of these, I think is the most critical part in the design thinking process, because this is where most of the solutions that we have in the world, this is at the stage where they have been incubated. And this is where almost all the conversation around product design is being had. So once the ideation stage is done, then you move on to prototyping. So prototyping is when you are able to now convert your ideas into something visual, into something that is usable. So once you are done with prototyping, then you move on to testing. Testing basically means, okay, yeah, we've been able to identify the problem, and yeah, we have a solution to it, but we need to test if this solution that we'll be able to come up with would really address the problem that we have identified. So it is not enough for you to have a great idea. You must also ensure that the ideas that you have are market fit, what people really want, and are what people would really make use of. So the process of you trying to validate that is testing. So like this is what I have on the screen. You can see the arrows going from one place to another. This shows that the process is not linear. So you can move from empathizing to ideating, then to prototyping, then come back to empathizing again until you are able to get that particular solution that would address the problem you are trying to solve. Okay, does anybody have a question on that? Okay, I think I would just have to move on.
Uche is raising his hand.
Oh, okay, Uche, yeah, you can unmute.
All right, thanks. So the part that has to do with testing,
yeah,
is what if you are going to test with real people? How exactly do you find those people? I don't think, do you just put up a? Is there a platform somewhere where people are just there waiting to test an app or something?
Okay, yeah, so there are different ways to test, and there are different techniques used in testing. And most time this is dependent on how confidential your product is and how financial buoyant you are as a company or as an individual to test your product. One of the cheapest way to test a product if you don't have money and if your product is not so confidential is to do a prototype and share the link with some of your friends to navigate through the app or through the product you are designing. But the standard way is for you to, there are companies that are set up to test products. So you can outsource the testing of the product to them. So they already have different audiences that they can share the products with. So you just need to send your product to them and pay them to do the testing for you and then send the feedback to you. Was I able to answer your question, Ushe? Yeah? Okay, I'll just move on. So now talking about who can become a product designer, these days people are actually getting into tech, and I think 50% of people getting into tech are moving into product design because it is very easy for you to start. Actually, don't need to know how to code. It takes shorter period for you to learn, and it's quite easy for you to get a job. But in the long run, it won't be sustainable if you don't have some of these qualities as a person. That's why sometimes I see some people get into product design after like 3 or 6 months, they switch to another thing. Just imagine it as say probably you want to get into accounting and you don't like numbers. Even if you try to study art, like on the long run, you might get very tired and might want to like switch your field. So the same thing applies into any field you are getting into. There are some basic qualities that you can learn. If you're able to learn them, you can learn them. But there are things that would always like keep you going in the industry. There are things that will make your journey in the industry quite easy. And one of them is that you must be a lover of art. If you're a lover of art, you will find product design very interesting as a field, because most of the stuff you'll be doing actually deals with visuals, how to translate an idea into visual, something appealing to people to see and stuff like that. So if you're a lover of art, I think this is a very good fit for you to explore. Then the second thing is you must be detailed oriented. If you don't like to pay attention to detail, I don't think you'll find this field very interesting, because one of the things that are very crucial in product design is the question why. So for every element, for everything that you have on your screen, they will always ask you why. Why do you have this there? Why do you have a full stop here? Why do you have a box here? Why do you have a rectangle here? Why do you have a circle here? So you must be very detailed. If you just do things shabbily, I don't think product design will be a fit for you to explore. So you must be conscious about every actions you take, every thing you do. So it has to be like someone that is person of details to be able to enjoy the field. Then the next one is closely related to the last one I mentioned. You must love contest. So contest in the sense that you don't look at things from a general perspective. You look at things from a very specific perspective relating to the challenge you are trying to solve. So you don't generalize things as a product designer. You attend to problems case by case. You might be working on a product today with a different context, and you might have a similar product to work on with an entirely different context. So you wouldn't say because I've worked on this type of project before, you now bring the same ideology to the new project you are working on. It won't work. So you deal with each project, each solutions, each product, each problem individually. So you must be able to understand the concept or the context behind whatever solutions that you are working on. So if you are the type of person that generalizes things a lot, I'm not sure you'll find this field very interesting. And lastly, you must have a systematic brain. And what do I mean by this? It's also similar to love of context, but this is kind of deeper. When I was talking about design thinking, I mentioned that there's something called system design. So the way it works is that we don't look at a solution for the present needs. We look at a solution from the futuristic point of view. So it is not enough for now. Just look at the case study that I mentioned earlier, talking about Facebook. When Facebook started, it was just for people to connect. But looking at what Facebook has grown into today, it's way different from what it has been before. That is a system. I'm very sure that Mark didn't think about everything that is happening in Facebook now. It has been in thought while Facebook was getting started. So that is like a systemic thinking. You are not thinking about the present, you are thinking about the future. So you are always futuristic about whatever solution you are working on, so that by the time you are scaling as a business, you won't be out of place. Okay. Then another key question that you might want to ask is that, as a product designer, where can I work? As a doctor, you can work in the hospital, you can work in any way that is related to health. As an accountant, you can work in any organization that need financial help. As a teacher, you cannot work in a bank. You can only work in an educational institution. What else again? As a pilot, you cannot work in a school. You can only work in a place where you are needed. But as a product designer, you can work anywhere, in as much there's a need for design, in as much there's a need for a tech product to be developed. Just on the screen, you can see the number of jobs that are available for product designer. And one of the good things about product designing is that you can be in your house and be working. You wouldn't need to start entering traffic, start moving from mainland to island because you just want to work. Your work does not require you to necessarily does not require you to be in the office to work. Just have your laptop, your internet, and you are good to go. So it's one of the very great fields that you can get yourself into as an individual. And then I would like to talk about a few, some concepts, but before I get into that, sometimes we hear the word product design, we hear the word UI UX design, UI design. Some people call themselves UX design. Some people say UI and UX, they are the same thing. Some people say, no, they are not the same thing. So I just want to use this time out to be able to differentiate what it is, what UI is and what UX is. So I'll be using a real life case for this so that you're able to understand the difference between UI and UX. I would like someone to read this story for us. Let me see. Rotimi Ogunyemi, could you please read the story for us? Okay, let me see. Alice Badebo, would you like to read the story for us? I want to volunteer to read the story for us. Uche.
Hi.
Lois wants to read. She's raising her hands.
Okay, yeah, Lois, you can go on.
Can anybody hear me?
Yes,
Yeah,
I can. Lois, please unmute your mic.
Okay. We see a beautiful lady who works as a personal assistant to Rex. After a long day at work, Bissy returned home hungry and discovered there was no foodstuff at home. Fortunately, Bissy's friend came in to check on her and they both decided to go to the market together. They decided to make jollof rice and plantain, so they got all the necessary ingredients. Bissy decided to cook the food alone to allow her friend rest.
Okay, you can
Should
continue.
I go on? Okay. Isn't two heads better than one again? May this not end in tears. After preparing the meal, Bissy served the food with a bottle of cold wine. If you were Bissy's friend, which would you take, A or B?
Okay, I need like two persons to answer. Just imagine you and your friends were together and you guys were like hungry and your friend went into the kitchen to cook alone and the person like brought A and B to you. As a person, you don't have to lie. Which of the food will you pick? Is it the A or the B?
A, of course.
Okay, Toby, okay. Which of the food would you pick?
Definitely can hear. I mean, it looks great.
Okay, Uche, which of the food would you pick?
Definitely A now. How about?
Okay, let me see. Simi, which of the food would you pick?
Ew.
Like everybody like good things. Okay, so let's look at what happened. So yeah, Lois, you can move on with the reading. Okay, so let me just like take it up from here. So unfortunately, A that looks very good tasted salty, while B, which was poorly presented, tasted nice. So one of the things that we always take notes in product design is that whatever product you are designing, even if it is very beautiful and it is not usable, the product is useless. So now talking about UI and UX, UI is what you see, just like we have A and B. So looking at A and B, so what we're actually looking at currently is the UI. You can never know if the food is sweet or not, except you like taste the food. That is the UX. So it is not enough for you to have beautiful interface, which is UI, which is what everybody can see. More than UI is the UX part, which is what people experience. Just imagine you eating A and it's very salty, and you looking at B that is not so presented very well, and it tasted very nice. So the implication of this is that as a company, as a product designer, or as an individual, one of the first impressions you have to make is how you appear or how your products look, how your app look, what your website look like, because that is the first point of contact that people would have with you. And 90% of people will judge you based on that. 90% of people will make decisions either to use a product or not based on what you say. But yeah, but beyond that, you need to give them a very great experience. That is UX. So when you are talking about UI and UX, I think you're able to like understand the difference now. The UI is what you see, just like the food that you are seeing on the screen. While the UX is what you experience while you are eating the food. Okay, I'll give more context to this. Now, looking at the cup that I have on my screen, you can see the UI. The cup looks very beautiful, right? I need answers.
Yeah, it does.
Yes, it does.
Yeah,
Yes.
but then look at the guy on the right-hand side. Is that a very good UX?
Not at all.
So the guy had to like close his eyes because he wants to drink water, which is not supposed to be. Okay, another example. Just imagine you enter a store and probably you want to get, say, a match, or sorry, say a pack of matches, right? Just imagine you enter the one on the left-hand side and the attendant told you that, oh, we have the match at XYZ, just go and look for it. And you just get to the store on the left-hand side, you have to start looking for where the matches is placed. Now, imagine the experience when you go to a store that is on the right-hand side, that have like labels, that have everything well organized. Which one would like give you a better experience? Is it the one on the left-hand side or the one on the right-hand side?
Isaac is saying the one on the right. Emmanuel is also saying the one on the right.
Yeah, great.
I go with that as well.
Yeah, so that also tells us like a real life example of what a UI is and what a UX is. Now let's not talk in the context of when we are building an app or building a product. Now imagine I open an app, let's say the one on the left-hand side, then I see email address, password, login, sign up, forgot password, all with a very strong color blue. Then looking at the one on the right-hand side with one with a very, like, the button is having a solid blue, one with sign up with a blank field for the box, then also forgot password without any box around it. So this basically shows like an hierarchy that, okay, for this particular screen, I'm supposed to log in. And if I want to sign up, like everything is clearly stated for me to know what to do. So this is just like a real life situation in trying to define the difference between a UI and a UX. Okay, then, so I've been able to talk about what a UI and UX is. So in the product design industry, there are three key major personalities where you can fall in as an individual, and they are in stages. So you find some people say they are a user experience designer. You find some people say they are a user interface designer. You find some people say they are UI UX designer, while you find some people say they are a product designer. So product designer is just like the apex of the different fields. So a UX designer basically focuses on flow, thinking, journey logic, empathy, research, testing, and the likes. While a UI person just focus on the look and feel. Okay, how do we create a beautiful interface? How do we have a very organized layout? How do we move from one page to another? Then a product designer can do both the user experience part and the UI part. So not everybody that is in the industry can actually say he is a product designer. So if you are just starting up in the industry, you can actually basically say, oh, I'm a UI designer or I'm a UX designer. You can't say you are a product designer if you have not gotten some level of experience. So that's just like on the surface level. Now, so getting you started as are a newbie in the industry, what are the things that you need to know? So some of the things I've talked about so far are just basically an overview into what your experience will look like if you get into the industry. So now I'll be talking about, okay, what are the things you need to know if you are getting started in this journey as a product designer, as a UI designer, or as a UX designer. So one of the key things you need to understand is that the skill is more important than the tool. Once you're able to master the skill, irrespective of the tools we are given, you will still deliver results. Like on my screen, this should be, I think this should be 2017 or 2018. I can't really remember. So I was using CorelDRAW. CorelDRAW is a design software basically used for communication materials, say social media designs, creating logo, creating brochures, creating communication materials. So I was basically using CorelDRAW to design an interface for a website, which was actually developed and it was live. So what this says is that it is not about the tools, even though there were tools that were basically built for designing products. It goes beyond the tool. So it is not enough for you to learn how to use Figma. It's not enough for you to learn how to use Adobe SD. It's not enough for you to learn how to use InVision or Sketch. What is very important for you as a person getting started in this industry is to understand the skill, learn the skill. There used to be a debate about how people that make use of Canva are taking over from people that are making use of actual design softwares. So I was telling my friend that it is not even about how to use Canva. If I get on Canva today, I'll still do a very quality design because I've been able to understand the basic principles of design. I've been able to master the skill as a person. So even if you give me a tool that is substandard, I'll still do something of quality. So don't you rush that, okay, I need to learn how to use Figma. That's not like the first thing for you to do. So the first thing for you to do is to understand the skill. And how do you understand the skill? How do you learn the skill? So you either enroll in a proper training center where you are being trained about all the different things that you need to know about product design, talking about design system, talking about typography, talking about design principles and design laws. So it's either you enroll in a proper school or you get an outline and search for videos on YouTube that you can follow to learn the different aspects of the field. Or you can also have a mentor that can guide you, provide you materials, resources that can also help you grow. So what is important is to understand what it takes to be a product designer, learn the skills, then you can now start learning the tools. Okay, then another thing you need to know is that one of the three best tools that you actually need as a product designer is not your laptop, basically. Even though you need your laptop to translate your idea into an actual product, but then you need your brain, your paper, and a pen. Because this is, when I was talking about design process, so design thinking rather, I made emphasis on ideating. So when you are ideating, you don't ideate by thinking or by just sitting down and just maybe just fantasizing about ideas. When you are ideate with pen and paper, when you are ideating, you have different ideas that you need to document. So the process of you documenting is majorly use of pencil and paper. There are now tools that are making this very easy. Tools like FigJam, tools like Mirror, tools like I've forgotten the other one. But then as a starter, you really don't need to bother yourself about the tools. Just use the traditional approach to be able to master the skill. Then you can now move on to using the tool because you already understand the fundamentals of going around the process. Okay, so you really need to be observant in the sense that there are so many things that even if you attend a product school or a design school, there are so many things that you will not be taught that you would only know or get to in contact with when you observe things. I think the last time I sat down in a class to learn probably should be like 10 years ago to learn design. But then I've actually been able to evolve from where I was at that particular time to where I am today. And this is a function of my skill in observing. So one of the things I do is that whenever I come across a new product or a new project or a new problem or a new solution that has been developed, I try as much as possible to study it. Okay, what are the things that these people did? What was the approach they used? Okay, how can I imitate what they have done and implement it in the next project I'm working on? So you have to be very observant. I don't, there are sometimes that I will see a website and I'll start criticizing that website, or probably I see a design, I'll start looking out for mistakes or errors of the designer. So it's just like for me to trying to like observe and learn from it. Then as from this time on, you should be able to like empathize, like try to understand people from their own point of view. Don't be judgmental about whatever situation that you find yourself with people. Try to know what they feel. Try to understand, okay, why is this person crying? Try to like be in their shoes, even though you're not in their shoes. But so by the time you are in that type of realm, you'll be able to come up with a solution for them, not because of what you know, because of what you like. Okay, I've talked about observing. The another one is to communicate. So one of the key things that makes people to go far in this industry is is learning how to communicate effectively. Because sometimes you have like very great ideas and you'll not be able to communicate. Some of the things that actually like get relationship to like maybe be called up or something. Some of the key issue of communication. So if you as a person doesn't like to communicate, or you are not really like open-minded, you really don't like to talk or something, I don't think you'll find this field very interesting. Because at every point in time, you have to communicate either with the stakeholders, with your users, with your superiors, with your team members. So you must learn to communicate effectively without trying to be biased, without trying to talk other people down. Even if it is just like a very basic idea that you have, just try to communicate it. This will actually make sure that there's a flow of collaboration, a flow of sharing of ideas that can help the product you are working on become better. So if we isolate yourself from communicating with other people, it's very difficult for you to actually scale very fast in the field. Now, talking about tools that we use in the industry. So there are different type of aspects in the design process that are required of you to make use of different tools to be able to achieve a result that you want. Well, I'm going to be talking about two major aspects of the process. So the first one is for the design. So for the design, we basically have like I mentioned, you can use any tools to you can use any tools to like work on your project, but there are specifically some tools that were built for that particular purpose. And one of them is Figma. Figma is very popular. So it is also free to an extent if you are just starting up. Then there is Adobe XD, which is also free, but then I think most people make use of Figma these days. There is Sketch. Sketch is not free and it's not open to people that make use of Windows. Only people that are making use of MacBook that can make use of Sketch. Then there is InVision. InVision is also free as well. Then for the research, there are also different tools you can use for research. So there is Google Form, there is SurveyMonkey. If it's like an interview or something, you can make use of Zoom, you can make use of Google Meet and the likes. So just these are just like an overview of the different tools. For testing, you have user testing, usability up, just because so based on the design process, there are different tools that are used for each stage of the design process. Then talking about resources as a designer, as a product designer, so there are different resources that are open source to you that you can leverage on to learn or to get things that you will need on your project. So we have Binance, Unsplash, Shutterstock, YouTube for learning, Unsplash and Shutterstock for getting pictures, Dribble and Behance for getting inspiration, UpLab if you want to get into a challenge. There are different types of challenge that you can get into that can make your learning process very fast. Okay, yeah, so I'll be talking about growth arc as a product designer. So this basically covers, okay, yeah, I'm getting into the field. How do I accelerate my growth? What are the things I need to do to be able to move very fast as much as possible? Why not like trying to omit the basic step or the important step for me to grow? So I'll just take this quote. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then it is not an art, but it's an habit. So if you want to become better in product design, it won't happen by mistake. It won't happen by guesswork. It has to be something deliberate. It has to be something that you really want to do. It's not that you wake up today, take your system to work or to design or something, and tomorrow you jump into another thing, or you wouldn't even take your laptop to work or something. So if you want to be the best in the field, you want to be the best, if you want to accelerate your growth, you must constantly upskill yourself every day. Make it an habit. That is when you can become better. Okay, so one of the things that you can do is to practice. Irrespective of how good you have become, you still have to keep practicing. And there's approach to this. So I use the 35-65 approach to this. So it basically means the 35% is for me to try to get different materials, just like consuming different materials. The 65% for me is to put in all of those stuff that I've learned into practice. Then you can also read, watch tutorials, but just make sure that while you are doing all of these things, you try to design as much as possible. There's no limit to the level of practice that you can do. Just try as much as possible that you keep practicing, you keep doing stuff, you keep learning, you keep consuming things, you keep training, you keep creating. So these are what will make you become better as a designer. Then also, you should also try as much as possible to attend meetups, hangouts. So what this does is that it make you have a connection with other guys that are in the industry as well. So you guys can share ideas, you guys can share opportunities, you guys can share resources, and you can even discuss your challenges with them at meetups. Like, these are just an avenue for you to meet people that are doing different things that is different from what you are doing as an individual. So I think you should be able to also attend meetups. There are different tech or design meetups that happens in the industry. To try as much as possible to attend them, to network, to connect with other guys in the industry. Then another thing you can do is to participate in design challenge. So what the challenge does to your growth is that it makes you take conscious effort or conscious decision to accelerate your growth. So when people start out in the industry, some people do 100 days challenge, some people do 30 days challenge, people do different type of challenge just to make sure that they design every day to upskill themselves. So as someone getting into the industry, it's one of the key things you can do that can help you to learn very fast. And when you are doing all of these challenges, it is not for you to come to Twitter, to Facebook to post or to talk about it. What is important for you is to share the challenge or the design with someone that can give you constructive feedback. So don't just do the challenge because you want to post on Twitter or LinkedIn just for people to know that you have started designing. When you do that, you see people giving you different comments, even people that don't even understand what you are doing. They might be giving you different comments, which might not help you. So the best approach to it is that when you get into this design challenge, have someone that you look up to that you can share the designs with, that can give you feedback on how to improve and how to move forward from there. Then another ways for you to become better is to redesign some of the apps or some of the websites or some of the products that you think you like, but you feel the design can be better. I've had a couple of friends that we designed the NYC website, we designed Lag website, we designed different type of apps, GT Bank app, Access Bank app. So they are actually doing that to be able to put into practice what they have learned in their journey. So this helps you to, as a product designer, what this does to you is that it helps to shaping your ideation process and how you are able to evaluate different challenges that that are given to you, how you're able to, okay, move from point A to point B to point C to be able to get a better result. So after this time now, you can look at different websites that you think, oh, I don't think I like this website. I can redesign it to become better. So you are actually trying to improve how you're able to approach an existing solution and try to make it better. Okay, so what's next after this time? One of the challenges that we face as designer or anybody getting into a new industry is the imposter syndrome. This basically shows that, oh, I'm not sure I'll be able to do this. I'm not sure this field is for me. I'm not sure I'm learning enough. I'm not sure I can actually put my work out there. I'm not sure if I'm doing the right thing. I'm not sure if I'm doing XYZ or something. So this happens to everyone at different stage. But then it's not something that you have to be it's not something you have to be scared of. It's something you have to face as an individual, because irrespective of how grown you have become, this is something that you would face as an individual. So what are the things that you need to do when you find yourself in this kind of situation? You should reprogram. It could be that probably you were thinking about some things, or probably you were feeling intimidated about what some other people are doing in the industry. You should try to reprogram your mindset, try to just be focused on, okay, this is who I am and this is where I want to go. So if you're able to if you're able to figure that out to a very large extent, you'll be able to overcome imposter syndrome. Then another thing is that whatever you are facing, you're not the only one facing it as a designer or as an individual. So there are 1,000,001 people that are also facing that kind of situation that you were. So just know that you are not alone. It is a normal feeling for you as an individual. Another thing you can do is to try as much as possible to own your achievement. Okay, this is where I was as a product designer. This is what my design looks like in a few months back. Okay, this is where I am. Yeah, I'm proud of my improvement. I'm proud of what I've become. So this actually puts a conscious imprint in your art that, yeah, I was not what I used to be as a designer in the last 3 months. I've actually improved and I can become better in whatever I do. Then you can also talk to people about it, talk to design mentors. There are open source design platform where you can talk to mentors across the globe that can share your challenges with, that can share whatever you're going through with, and they are always willing to help you out. And lastly on this is that you should not compare yourself to other people. I think I've talked about it before. Everybody have like different journeys. Everybody have like different backgrounds. Everybody have access to different resources. So just make sure that, take note that you are only competing with yourself, not with another person. So you really don't have to compare yourself with what other designers are doing. You can actually learn from them and grow, but don't ever compare yourself to them. Okay, getting your first break as a designer. This is like one of the toughest things you will face when you get started in this field. Because looking at the current situation of things, most employers doesn't really want to invest in grooming talents again. They just want people that can come on board to come get started and start working. So as a newbie in the industry, it might be, you are actually competing with people that are way ahead of you in the industry. So what are the things that you need to do as a product designer is that there's something called portfolio and case study. I really won't go deeply into that because that's like a different aspect of product design entirely. But getting your first break as a product designer isn't something that is not doable. You just make sure that you put in more effort, try to understand what is the employer looking for, try to understand what are the things I need to present. Most times we don't submit CV, just like every other industry asks for CV. We really don't submit CV. We really submit our portfolio where we have different case studies of the project that we have worked on. So if as a newbie, you don't have that information and you're just sending out CV, there's 100% probability that you will not get any work. So like you can still come over to how to get your first job as a product designer, but that's not the conversation for today. Then also you must strategically position yourself. You really don't need to, so people say people waste time on social media. I think 60% of my time daily I spent on social media, and it doesn't make me less productive. So it's just a function of, okay, what am I doing on the platform? So these are tools and platform that you can maximize as a product designer to get yourself to where you want to be, to connect, to learn, to get resources, and to do things that will make you scale very fast. Then I would like to answer some questions that you might have. One of them is, how long does it take for me to get started in this journey and get my first job? I think if you are very serious with it, within 4th and 6th months, you should be job ready to get a job as a product designer. Just in quotes, if you are very serious about your journey, 4 to 6 months is enough for you to get your first job. When should I start? There's no best time for you to start. You can start as soon as possible, in as much you have access to resources, in as much you are willing to get started in the journey. How will I know when I'm ready? How will I know when I'm ready? I think this question is, what's the right word now? It is personal. Some people feel they are ready probably because they have a laptop, they have access to the internet. Some people feel they are ready because they have a willingness to start. So I think this is actually personal to you. But what is important for you to know is that you can start as soon as possible. Then also, will I have to write code? The answer is no. You really don't need to know how to write code, but it will be an advantage for you to know how to write code if you want to get some particular jobs on the global level. Then also, must I design? Yes, you must know how to design. That's what product design is all about. So yeah, I think, yeah, that's all from my end. I can take questions. Okay, Uche, yeah, I can see your end.
Yeah, first of all, thank you so much for the wealth of knowledge you've just dropped on us right now. I can't express how much I appreciate this. So I have 2 questions. I'm sure the first one, Steph, I have an answer to it. You mentioned that it's beneficial to attend tech design meetups to speak with fellow people in the industry.
Yeah.
My question is this. My question is in 2 parts for this one. How do we even know where to look out for these meetups? And for us that are just starting, if we go there, we'll pretty much have nothing to say. We're just going to be listening. Is it beneficial for us to, as a newbie, to join these meetups?
Okay, yeah. So talking about the first question, how do you get to know where the meetups happens? I think the first thing is for you to join different communities on Twitter. Then there's Eventbrite, where we have a list of different events that are happening around you. So you can sign up there to get information around that. But then I think one of the best places to get all those information is if you are following different design community on Twitter, on LinkedIn, on Facebook. I'm not sure. Okay, they are on Instagram, but mostly on Twitter. That is where you have all of this information. Then talking about what you can do as a newbie, they might really not have anything to say. What you're actually looking out for is to connect, is to make friends. I think that's like the first thing you need to do if you are getting started. Make friends, talk to people. Then when you have when you have enough confidence on what you want to say, then you can now apply for, okay, yeah, I want to be a speaker, I want to speak at this event, I want to contribute and XYZ. Yeah.
Okay, so it's basically a place to observe a lot for a newbie. Okay, cool. Then my second question, this part shocked me when you said to get some jobs in a global area, you need to write code. Sorry, what kind of coding would a product designer ever need? In what kind of job will require code from a product designer? I thought they are web developers for that kind of thing.
Okay, yeah. So this is generic to the company you are applying to. Now, the writing of code does not necessarily mean you have to be expert in it. It's just for you to have a basic knowledge of it. Because these days, some companies will require that as a product designer, you should know how to make use of Webflow. So Webflow is like a site builder, more like WordPress, but it's more modern. So when you are making that, when you are using that kind of a tool, for you to be able to get the better results, you need to write some little codes to bring your design into life. So that is why some of this company asks, okay, do you know how to write code? Are you familiar with HTML? Are you familiar with CSS? So they're not saying you should be 100% into it, just to have an idea of, okay, these are the basic code lines that, okay, yeah, fine, and you are good to go.
Oh, nice. Can I chip in one more question?
Okay, yeah, sure.
All right, thanks. So you said that, well, designers in this field, they don't drop CVs, they drop portfolios, which are basically case studies of work they've done.
Yeah, yeah.
If a beginner who is serious has been doing work on case study, just trying to make, well, first of all, let me understand, what is this case study like? What does the portfolio look like? I've never actually, I'm just starting. I'm sure many of us are just starting. So you probably don't have an idea of what a portfolio looks like. For a designer, for a graphic designer, I understand what a portfolio will look like. But for a product designer, what does this portfolio case study thing look like?
Okay, so it's just basically trying to document your design process. Just try to document how you're able to arrive at a particular solution. I talked about you have to be a person of detail. You need to be able to answer the question of why. That is like the main thing we do in product design, answering the question of why. Why am I doing this? Why is this box here? So the case study is just trying to document, okay, this is my why. This is why I was able to do this. This is why I did this. This is why I use this approach. So just like a documentation of your approach. So whoever that is reading your case study would able to understand where you are coming from and how you're able to arrive at the solution that you are presenting.
Oh, okay. So it's not the actual design, like maybe a redesign you did. It's actually like what should I call, like a workflow in writing, because you said the person that reads it, not the person that looks at it.
So like it's a bit complicated. It's a bit complicated. I really don't want to go to case study. You can have a class on case study.
But cool.
The important part, the important of case study is to be able to evaluate your expertise. So if a recruiter is looking at a case study, the person should be able to understand your range, how good you are. So it is case study that can actually give that picture, just the way CV give the picture of other fields.
All right, cool, thanks. I'm just going to Google what that case study is and learn more. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay, any other question?
Okay. Emmanuel is raising his hand.
Okay, yeah.
Hi.
Okay, Emmanuel, you can go on.
Okay, sorry, I wasn't able to unmute myself before. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, thank you so much for this session. That's been really insightful. So the part that I would really like to talk about mostly is the design thinking process, to how you get to the solution part, or how you finally come up with your solution to a problem. So yeah, you talked about it is not a linear process and you can go from the first stage to the last stage, then to the middle and all things like that. But are there cases where you perhaps might skip a step? Say you already have gotten the brief, you have already gotten research done by, say, maybe the clients or the product managers, and then your own part is just to understand the problem, why they are solving it, and what are the results from the research that they have done. So in that type of case, is it every time Because I understand that there might be times where you still need to do your own personal research, but is it every time that you might go from that first stage to the last stage of the design process, or you might like skip some steps?
Okay, so if I get you clearly, you're talking about in a case where you're just coming into design, whereby the researches has been done, right?
Yes, something like that.
Okay, yeah. So this happens a lot when you have like a team working with you. So basically, when you are working on a product, you're not just working alone as a product designer. So you have a product manager, a researcher, business developer, quality assurance person, and the developers. So basically, in a normal setting, a product designer just basically gets different documents that he studies, and those documents includes, we call it PRD, product requirement document. So in the document, you basically have everything you need to know about the product. The research would have been done. The project manager would have like worked out what the features of the product would look like. So in that particular situation, you are not doing any design process again. What you are just doing at that particular stage is to translate the document you have gotten, translate it into a design. But in a situation where you don't have all these guys that are working with you on the project, you are the only one working on the product. So which means you have to do the research yourself, you have to ideate yourself. Most times the ideation is done, you are told okay, say for example, someone can come up to you and say, oh, I want to design an app that people can use to order ride. That is the idea that the person is trying to come up with. So the ideation is done. So what you are just going to do as a product designer is, okay, fine. What are the things that we need to have in this app? Okay, how do I make sure that, okay, the people making use of this app really want to make use of the app? What are the things that Uber is doing or that Bolt is doing that we can like make better in designing the app? You get? Okay, great. Okay, someone asked, can I list the design principles? They are quite much. I might probably just share some link with Akin today to share with you guys where you can learn more about that. There's an app for it where you can download the app to learn about design principles and design law. It is open to everyone. Someone talked about, okay. Do you have any more questions?
Hi, Rex. So sorry, I know this is more or less like getting started. But from the beginning of this session, you talked about, okay, this is what we might be getting into. So cases where you may be working on a project and just like you said, your clients have done research and you have everything down. What happens where you are in the process of doing the design and then your client then perhaps changes a feature or just changes like some things in the work you are doing? How do you communicate perhaps that, okay, we don't need this, or how do you communicate that situation basically?
Okay, yeah, so I will address this using like in two different ways. So the first one is when you're starting out a product, make sure there is an agreement or an alignment on the features or what the product owner is looking out for in the product. Any alteration that is made to their agreement as a product designer should attract like an extra cost, because you'll be spending more time on ideating or trying to accommodate the new feature. So try as much as possible to align before you start the product at all. Tell the person, okay, this is what I'm designing, this is what we are agreeing on. So once the agreement is made and the person is coming back with an additional feature, you don't need to argue with the person. Just tell the person, okay, this is what we agreed on. And if we are changing the scope of the project, I'll be charging XYZ amount. So what this does is that before anybody can come say want to make a changes, they would have actually thought about it before they come to you to make any change. But if you are open and you just like make people to make changes or to change the scope of your project, you might not find it very fun because it's only very tedious trying to make changes when a product is currently in design. Then another thing is, okay, I think it happened to me to me and my guys. So we were working on a product for a petroleum company. They had already paid the money and we already signed up the contract. Then from their end, they were not carrying the stakeholders along from their end. So we're only talking to the general manager, not knowing that in the company's mode of operation, the final verdict is always from the CEO. So our interaction was basically with the managers. So we were done designing the app, the developers were done, and they were like, oh, they need to pitch the app to the CEO. So when they got to the CEO, the CEO said, what we have done is actually not in line with what he wanted. Then the guy was like, oh, we need to change the design. We need to do it. So we're like, no, we can't actually change the design. We already had an agreement and we already signed up the agreement. The guy had to pay from his own pocket to be able to come out with the changes that he was requiring because he didn't follow up with the people that are supposed to make decisions. So when we are designing, when we are working on a project rather, make sure you carry all the stakeholders along. If the error is from you, like you'll be the one to bear the consequences. But if the change is from them, then they have to pay extra money for you to work on the change. Was I able to answer your question?
Yes, you did.
Great. Sure. I think Toby okay was raising an hand.
No, I wasn't. No.
Okay. Do you have any more questions?
Does anyone have a question? Uche, yeah, please unmute your mic and let's have you.
Okay, cool. Sorry, this unmute, so it's tricky. Okay, Rex, please, can you tell us something? One thing you wish you knew when you started that you know now, because in a journey at the beginning, there are many. I know you've mentioned a lot of things today, and I'm really, really grateful that you have. In a design journey, in any journey, usually what we get to learn, like you said, if you are in a classroom, you will learn everything. It's by observation. But I want to know one or two key things that you observed in your journey that you wish you knew when you started and that would have been of great help to you.
Okay, I would say trying to communicate and network. I'm actually like a shy person. I really don't like going and talking to people and all. But then, so like the whole stuff changed at about 2 years ago. So that has actually accelerated my growth. So I could have imagined that if I've been doing that since when I started designing, I might probably not be at this level, probably somewhere very higher. So I think that is like one of the mistakes I made. So I was not connecting with people. I was just like isolated, trying to do my stuff. I was not like really communicating well with like other people. I was just there doing my thing. So it was until when my mentor like caught my attention to that, oh guy, you really can't be working in isolation. You need to like get out there. You are very good. Like people really to know that yeah, you are very good. So that was when okay, things started changing. So I would advise everybody if you are starting out, talk about your work to people that are relevant, to people that can help you as much as possible. If they talk about design in my area, in my church, in my field, I think one of the first things that will come to their mind is me. Just because I've been able to place myself in that particular situation. So try as much as possible to connect. Like don't miss out on any tech hangout. You know, I remember a guy on Twitter that attended these tech hangouts. I think in April or something. The guy was actually looking for work. The guy printed like a card, like, hey, I'm looking for work. This is what I can do. And someone who got the card just came on Twitter and posted that, oh, I got this card from a friend that is looking for a work. And within a day, the guy was given a job. So just imagine if the guy like didn't do something like that. If the guy was just like, oh, I'm just going to this hangout to look. I really don't want to connect. He might not be like be able to get a job. To try as much as possible to talk about what you do. This will actually make people to always remember you or mention your name in the places that are very important.
Nice. Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, any more questions?
Okay, any more questions? Questions. Are we good to go, everyone? Okay, so I think we don't have questions. So no doubt this has been a very insightful session, and I mean, we're really grateful to Mr. Ademola. He did well. And I believe each participant has gained tremendous insight from this knowledge sharing session. And I trust that we're not going to go to bed, right? We're going to get busy with everything that we have learned today. So if you're not going to take anything, I think you should take this from what you said. For me, it's one of my highlights for today. He talked about if you want to go into product design, right? The first thing you should get, or the very essential tools, are your brain, a paper, and a pen. I mean, that really caught me. So as much as you want to get a laptop, you want to get a smartphone, you just really want to go into this thing. It's important that you set your mind to it, right? It's important that you're not just going into this because that's what is popular in quotes, right? So ensure that you really want to do this. Ensure that you're going in with your brain, paper, and I mean, it was really very insightful. Thank you so much, Mr. Ademola. We really appreciate. And so, like we said earlier, this is recorded, so be sure to visit our YouTube channel for a replay, and don't hesitate to subscribe to our YouTube channel, like, and then share with friends. I mean, it would be really great. So I think that's all for now. Yeah, and also for some of us that are yet to follow us on our social media, please do well to follow us on All Things Teen Podcast on IG. Also subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can get notified firsthand once we have any of our webinars or programs coming up. So once again, we're saying a very big thank you to Mr. Ademola Adekombi, and then we're trusting that, and we're also looking forward to having you on our subsequent webinars. I mean, we know you had a lot, but time would not permit, but we are really grateful for this. And then a very big thank you to the convener as well, Akitunde Idowu. Thank you so much. Well done. It really was a great initiative. Well done for that. So, friends, let's not forget to like and also share. Okay, so a Google form has been made available. It's on the chat box. It's in the chat box. We'll just like that you take out few minutes to fill the forms. Nothing. We just want to get feedbacks as to how the webinar went, and it would really be great that we do so. Also, networking is key, right? I'm glad that Mr. Ademola emphasized on that. Networking is key. I mean, we've had a lot of people here today. It wouldn't be a bad idea for us to network, right? Someone like me would want to network with Uche has really been active. I would want to network with a couple of people here. So do well to network. Don't just go back to bed like nothing happened today, right? So let's have a great Saturday. I don't know if anyone has anything to say at this point. If no one has anything, can we have okay. Ronnie, I'm sorry if I didn't get this correctly. Do we have okay. Okay, thank you, Mr. Ademola from Isaac. Yes. Thanks a lot, everyone. Let's not forget to fill the form, right? The survey form. Would really appreciate. Okay, so do we have can we have Mr. Demola give us a closing remark, or do you have anything else you want to say to everyone here?
Okay, yeah. So I just basically say that this field is like one of the best fields you can get into as an individual because it has like a whole lot of benefit for you personally. There's so many things that I'm doing currently that I wouldn't even have the opportunity to if I wasn't in this industry. So I think it's one of the things that you need to consider personally. You always make good money. You always like get good friends that can accelerate your growth. Then also, I'll also try to emphasize on the fact that you need to network. Very, 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 very important. Even if you're not like into the product design industry, whatever industry that you find yourself, make sure that you network as much as possible. And also, lastly, I would like to thank Akitunde once again for having me on board, and it's been an exciting time here.
A lot. I would also want to, network with Ademola, of course, definitely. So I don't know if Mr. Akitunde would like to share anything with us. Okay. All right then. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone. Okay, so be sure to drop your LinkedIn profile or.
Yeah, can you hear me, Toby?
Oh, yes, please.
Okay. Thank you everyone for joining. It was really great having quite a number of people around for today's webinar. And with the feedback from the survey form, if you're able to fill it, we're able to know the better steps to take. So please do ensure to fill that. And considering Rodney's feedback about having a WhatsApp group, perhaps to share resources, like Mr. Ademola already said, we'll be sharing some links with me so I could share with everyone who is available here. So I think it would be great to also have you include your phone number in the feedback form. We are making provision for that on the feedback form as well, so that WhatsApp phone number especially, so that we can create a group.
Okay, thanks a lot. Okay, thanks a lot, Kitunde. We're grateful. So anything else from anyone? Does anyone have anything else to say? Okay, in the absence of questions or contributions, I want to say a very big thank you to everyone for taking out time to join this webinar. We really do not take it for granted. We are really grateful, and I trust that it has been a very insightful one, and you've had a whole lot to learn. Also, I want to say a big thank you to the Alton team. You guys did really great. Well done to everyone on the team. Well done, a very big well done. And so have a great weekend and have a great Saturday, everybody. Signing out, Tobiloba.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Have fun now.